Hey everyone. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about Kinetic Avatars. Now, this is the name that I gave to AI influencers 15 years ago when I developed story integrated marketing and wrote my book, Kinetic Avatars, the 8 characters in your marketing message. You'll be able to get this on the platform here. I'll post a link to a PDF of that book if you care to read it. The very beginning of it is very powerful. It's outdated because it references a previous business that I was involved in, but in itself, and it does need a rewrite because now artificial intelligence has brought us to a place where AI influencers are starting to rise. And kinetic avatars, as I call them, are 4D characters. They got all these different names. They're starting to become more relevant. And the problem is, though, they're for just the average person, they're expensive and difficult to popularize. And so we have integrated kinetic avatars into our spice blends, creating these narrative blends and these character blends so that you can take advantage of our 40 story platform with your characters and with your blends. And with that comes the ability to merchandise all kinds of stuff. And we're working to embed that as we go. But let me give you a real quick philosophy on how this works and what a kinetic avatar is. Story works because two characters interact, okay? Or a single character interacts with a situation. But in that case, you could think of the situation almost as a character. And so and of course, they do this within a setting and within a context, and that starts to create the world or the frame that your story is in. And the way AI influencers work is they utilize social media and the channel's context to get their message out and to tell their story. But what's happening is characters, AI characters, etc., are going on social media and they are having, so many of them are into fashion and music, because these are things that the character can do that leads you into their story. However, it's still kind of two-dimensional and flat because you don't really get to engage their story at a deep level. You're just at that social media level. And what we've done, and this is the crux of all of this, we've shifted the paradigm to say we are, with these characters, going to actually share a story that has a plot and a back end and a beginning. Doesn't necessarily have to have an ending. Doesn't necessarily have to have a beginning either. But we are going to create a world for these characters and allow you across social media and a number of other dynamic channels to expose your characters to the world. And of course, you're going to use posts, you're going to use GIFs, you're going to use video, you're going to use streaming, they can write music if they're, Zorgon is our favorite music guy. But what happens is, and this is, I apologize, it's tough to put into words exactly the vision that we have here. And so you're just going to have to hang out on the platform maybe and experience some of these characters and how this works. But essentially, a character, just like a human, has a landing page. It has a website, a starting point where you can go back and find out the character's backstory and plot and everything else and gain access to all of its social media channels, etc. This is what we've done with Nightshades, our R40 story. And you engage that character and what it's all about by following it on social media, engaging with its gamification, whatever the case may be. And you might also find yourself engaging with that character at times and in places where you aren't purposely following them, like on a billboard or an electronic digital advertising display at a bus stop. Your character may suddenly show up or a character that you're following. And so what we've done with 40story.com is we've created a platform where you can register, you can become a light vendor, so you can create characters and manage them. You can follow other characters and do a number of things. And then with Chef Heart, you take your character and you create a spice blend with that character. And so now you have a physical item that can represent your character, that you can sell, that you can engage people with, but not just the spice blend. You can do hats and t-shirts and hoodies, and we're continuing to roll out different elements within the platform that allow you to monetize your character in various ways. So a kinetic avatar is a profile. It's literally a PDF that you upload into ChatGPT. But what it does is it creates a focus around this character so that your character can maintain its persona as you build scenes. And you build scenes by uploading multiple characters, PDF profiles, and then having ChatGPT, tell it a scene scenario and have ChatGPT develop the scene for you so that you can then take that scene and create your video or whatever piece of content that you're going to create to bring that scene to life. But the kinetic avatar, the importance of it is the fact that this scene or this character, it has to have parameters of its persona. And so by creating a kinetic avatar, you're creating these parameters, but they're not just character profile parameters, although we do utilize that. We have an entire process when you create a kinetic avatar that it creates a character profile, but also persona aware and giving that character a fundamental frequency that maintains its consistency across all the scenes. And then beyond that, when you create the scenes, we are able to create micro emotional arcs that allow us to track where in which posts are triggering which emotions, etc., or where in the video most people are engaging the most, and which emotional construct you have targeted. So that being said, I think I've probably more thoroughly confused you than enlightened you. Kinetic avatars are characters that have a profile which is built upon a fundamental frequency, and that fundamental frequency, which is a color, translated into a hexadecimal code so that we can use it. That is what your persona blend is built upon as well. The character is just a way that you can personify your blend and or your character in social media. But the power of that profile goes beyond just being able to create scenes and maintain consistency. The power of that profile becomes your alter ego. It becomes literally the persona of that character. And then with that, we are able to determine the character's most critical or the character's preferred products and experiences and services that mold that character towards its in alignment with its fundamental frequency. So you create a character, you give it a fundamental frequency, and then as a result of that entire persona profile, which is essentially its alter ego or its ego, its digital ego, you are able to use ChatGPT to create to tell you exactly which products that character would most likely align with. Well, once you know the products and the type of products that that character aligns with, you know that the people that you create content for are also going to align with those products or similar. And then there's the whole concept of which colors meld best with which colors, or which fundamental frequencies work with which fundamental frequencies and in what kind of a context, and etc. So there's a deep dive that you can make. But what's important and what's critical and what's exciting about this is once you have a character, it's basically attracting its fans to you. But you know what those fans are all about because you built this character on persona where you've given it a fundamental frequency. And hidden within that fundamental frequency is all the information you need to know about the fans that you are attracting. And so what you end up with is not a character that gets billions of views and millions of people follow it necessarily. Not that that couldn't happen, but you end up with a character that attracts the right fans and gives you insight on those fans without you ever having to take any of their data. The other beauty of these characters is because if you build them on your own persona, then they can act as kind of a buffer out there in the real world, and you can discover and be able to purchase the kinds of products that align with you and your own persona, that lead you and better reinforce your pursuit of the legend you were born to be, as we call it, of your goals. And then this character becomes a buffer in between the real internet and you, so that your personal data does not get exposed and you are able to maintain anonymity. Nobody even needs to know you are the one behind this character. And so these are the benefits of creating a persona, a kinetic avatar, and then the manifestation of it in the physical realm by creating a spice blend is just an added step into the physical reality that you want to bring this character out of the digital space into physical. And then, of course, we reinforce that with a number of other sorts of merchandise, whether it's hats and t-shirts or whatever, because that helps tell the ultimate story of your character. And it becomes tangible, phygital, as we call it. So now your character can tell stories on social media, tell their story by creating scenes. Then those scenes drive characters back to the footprint, that the blueprint that you put across the web with regards to social channels and a website and all that. And then they can purchase and engage your character through physical products. And of course, our spice blends are the front end of those physical products. So a kinetic avatar is an AI influencer, but it's a little bit different. You're not stuck with just a talking head AI influencer, although those are part of the scenario. What you're creating more likely is a character with a digital representation. You create a character, look and feel, and there's lots of ways that are becoming more and more prolific to create a character that maintains consistency across all of the videos that you make, so that you can create streaming videos and little scenes of that character and not lose what it looks like. When I initially did all this and developed it, I had to create characters that were aliens. Zorgon is my alien rock star character, right? And he was an alien simply because I had to give him the ability to shapeshift, because AI was shapeshifting him with each iteration. Now that is starting to smoothen out, and with various AI tools and strategies, you can maintain character consistency. And so now your scenes can be rolled out, but you don't have to create video all the time. You can create, just use images on various social media platforms to tell that character's story. But as video becomes easier and easier to use with prompting and character consistency, etc., I highly encourage you to move towards video, because where this is all going is you would have a collection of, in my book, I use 8 characters because it follows a very specific fiction context that allows those characters to have powerful impact. And that's what I share in the book. But you want a collection of characters that you can then create scenes with and engage your audience on a regular basis as they travel and journey with your character. And you can make your character as dynamic or as plain Jane as you want. If you just want your character always to be sitting in a chair talking about life, telling stories, whatever he or she does, then you're welcome to do that. Or you could take your character on the road, travel the world, put him in all kinds of places, make him the coolest spy that ever lived, and do all kinds of stuff. It is very engaging that way. So a kinetic avatar is simply a character a digital character that can extend itself into the physical world. It can also extend itself onto the blockchain. It can also extend itself into your own, connect with your own persona, because we use personaware to define that fundamental frequency. So that your kinetic avatar is in all 4 dimensions at the same time. And that's what makes it so powerful. Then when we create scenes, we use these kinetic avatars. Our AI, ChatGPT, is our tool of choice for maintaining the character's life. And over time, that character will build its own timeline. It will have its own life because ChatGPT manages it and continues to build upon its history. And so what you end up with is giving this character a true existence. And then by registering the character on the 40story.com website, you give that character, if you will, a soul. And I define a soul in a character as a record. And once a record is created and that character has an official record, it's now responsible to that record. And that record is what, you know, follows that character. So once you've registered the character and people start engaging with that character, and however that character acts or reacts is what you're doing to build brand into that character. This is not what you're going to get out of a regular AI influencer. A regular AI influencer is going to live on a social channel, and yes, it will be responsible to that social channel and to people's opinion of it and how it's perceived, but it won't actually maintain a record of that character so that that character then acts and reacts in future scenes based on its history. And so therefore that character can't grow natively, innately, in its digital realm by itself. An AI influencer, the team that creates that AI influencers, they can grow the character, but what I'm giving you is a hands-free way to just simply develop your kinetic avatars, upload it into ChatGPT, and then create scenes. And those scenes will naturally react to your character and how your character grows over time. And once you have the profile set up, that's all you need to do. Beyond that, the character comes to life. Just like in real fiction, when you're writing a character, after a while, you've developed it so well that it comes to life and it writes the story. Ask any fiction author, that's exactly how they go about writing. That character comes to life and it starts to tell the story in the context that they've framed in the setting, in the world, etc. So this is four-dimensional storytelling because it's fictional storytelling, but it engages all the senses and gives you so many different ways to put that character out there and build the plot, build the story as it goes along. Not only that, but the characters can relate to real-time things. In other words, the characters can connect with pop culture. They can connect with the most trending things, however you want them to engage those trends, and they can create scenes that are true to their persona, that are consistent with their growth and who they are as an actual person. So because we use personaware and create these personas, we are literally creating a digital human that has a digital persona that's not just a bunch of data collected. Rather, it is intuitive and designed to engage, grow, and react and make decisions based upon that persona at every stage. And what's beyond that is I could literally take your kinetic avatar and create a scene with my kinetic avatar and never have to know anything about your character if I was utilizing your kinetic avatar PDF and profile. If you made it available to me, I upload it to ChatGPT, and now your character and mine, we could have a boxing match, we could have a foot race, we could design something together, and I could leverage all of the richness of your character in from that persona profile. Beyond that, if you gave me access to your GPT and you built a GPT, maybe your character is an engineer, and in that GPT you just put lots of qualifications for that engineer and knowledge, etc. I could access that, and now our characters are utilizing their entire platform of knowledge and framework to create a scene. And that's when it gets really exciting, because if you've got two characters whose fundamental frequencies align with whatever the scene is that you're trying to create, you've got a powerful way by which to connect with others and the world and to share your influence. And right now, major corporations can have artificial intelligence influencers because they've got the budgets and the teams to do so. With 4D Story and Chef Heart and this approach, everybody gets that opportunity. And not only do you get the opportunity to create the character and to engage with the character, but to monetize it and to succeed with it, whether it's through selling, promoting blends or other merchandise, or as your character gains popularity, engaging with other characters in order to do branding. You can be an influencer for another brand, etc. It's countless the strategies that there are out there, and as you explore the monetization strategies here on our platform on School, what you're going to find out is that there is a right strategy for you. Pick one, work with it. That's why we start with the blends. Promote the blends, get people excited about the flavor of your character, and that flavor identity will lead the way for them to want other merchandise and to resonate with it. This is all about innate wisdom. This is all about, we're not out here on the social realm trying to interpret signals from people and characters. What we're doing is innately programming each character with its true signal and relating to that with every single decision in every single scene. So you don't have to require other people's data, and you don't have to guess, but rather and you don't have to convince the conscious mind to influence the subconscious mind. Rather, you're bypassing that conscious mind and going straight to the subconscious, where that influence is interpreted and acted upon more immediately, and you don't end up with logical fallacies and hyperbole and other indicators of truth or falseness. Rather, it's always truth. It's always true to the persona of each character. So mingle all that together in your noggin and continue flowing through this. There will be more videos, more explanation, and more ways for you to see how it works. Nightshades.fans is a 4D story that I've created and spent some time promoting, not actively promoting it, just due to the bandwidth of my own abilities and time and resources as I grow the business here. But it will give you a sense of how you can create your own platform, and we will give you more and more training on that as we go. Also, if you want design help, Marvel Media is our parent company, and we can help you create your scenes, your stories, set up your Kinetic Avatar, all the pieces that go with this. But it's better if you do it yourself, because then you understand how the whole principle works. And then once you get it, you can create all the characters you want, and you can do whatever you want with these characters. All right, that's an initial overview. And beyond that, I will continue to break these things down and show you the power of these Kinetic Avatars. I'll introduce you to some of ours. And by the way, these Kinetic Avatars, this PDF, this digital signature, this persona that we create, it's transferable. And when I say transferable, I mean it's transferable in a couple ways. But one of the biggest ways is you can transfer this persona into a piece of hardware, such as a robot, and allow it, because personaware is essentially the emotional layer of the emotional layer of robots. Robots have a physical body. They have artificial intelligence as a brain. Once you record them on a platform and give them a starting point and a place and a way to be responsible, that becomes their soul. A real robot soul is probably going to be recorded with its manufacturer, kind of like registering a car. And I would imagine that's for liability reasons, etc. And then we are responsible for the spirit. And so you got a body, mind, soul, and spirit. You've got a true 4-dimensional interaction with these robots. And using personaware, it's the only way to create an emotional layer for a robot. You cannot maintain the theory of mind, which is the space in the unconscious mind. You cannot contain it with an LLM, with trying to constantly frame that theory of mind with real-time data. Too many things change too rapidly. It never will happen. In fact, it's what they wrestle with the most right now. But when you come at it using persona-aware, you have a zero compute. And by the way, right now they spend probably 40 to 60% of their compute on trying to maintain that theory of mind, trying to maintain the persona of a robot. And this is why you don't see a lot of robotic engagement with humans, because it's very clunky and it's incredibly compute consuming, and it eats up battery time and all that other. This approach is non-compute. So you'll see that coming up later as this materializes in the real world and in the robotics world. You heard it first here. If you're here and you're hearing it, that's how it works. But this profile that you're creating will ultimately be transferable into your own robot, because you're going to have one. And that is going to allow you to connect with that robot, and for that robot to connect with you at this insanely subversive level, at this unconscious level, at a subconscious level, so that you don't have to sit there and try to train your robot and you will already be connected at the persona level. And so, yeah, does that sound freaky? It is. All of this technology, artificial intelligence, the blockchain, digital currency, all of these pieces, even the coming quantum computers and things like that, it's all creating a scaffolding for us to actually engage at an ethereal level. That's how I see it. I don't try to take any single technology and build a concept around it or a strategy, but rather they all make up the framework of being able to build scaffolding into the ethereal. And once you do that, then all bets are off. Everybody can it's a limitless resource, and everybody can prosper. Of course, we'll all find ways to gain power and do our normal human things, but the potential is there. And now the potential is real. That's what one of these kinetic avatars gives you. It's the starting point of being able to access ethereal power and transmute it into your life and wield it for revenue, for influence, and that's why we say we have to do good with the power that we pull out. And that's why Chef Heart leads with a service attitude and with a heart, because that allows us to stay in a frame of mind that truly not only benefits mankind with this type of technology, but it gives back to the technology. It actually feeds this loop, and it allows the kinetic avatar to be that much more connected, because it's dealing with truth, and truth needs to be captured in a pure environment. And you have to read my Gestalt creative thinking strategy to understand the importance of this. But truth is captured in a pure environment, and by it doing that, it becomes much more kinetic and much more responsive, and therefore it perpetuates itself. Okay, I know I've gone off the deep end there, but all you have to do is read my books and continue to follow, and you'll see all these things work together for good, and they actually work. We built a bridge into the ether and made it commercial so that everybody can take advantage of it. You're here because you're interested in that. And maybe also you like to put cowboy butter on your bagel with cream cheese. I did that this morning. It was so good. Don't forget, we're here creating flavor identity. All of this is just backlog. It's all the workings under the engine. But when you get how it all works and that it truly makes a difference, and that's why we built Chef Heart, was to prove to people that we could literally manifest a physical item from a human persona. So we take a human persona, we digitize it, then we map it back to a flavor, and then we produce the blend. And we, of course, use all of our special approaches to making the blend so flavorful and fresh, and don't put any That's why we don't put any preservatives in the blends, because it would reduce the connection to that persona if you had, you know, dextromethane or whatever it's called floating around in your lips and gums while you were trying to taste that flavor, because it's that flavor that identifies us and connects us, and that's why food connects. All right, I'm done rambling. I'm going to move on and catch you in another video. Thanks for taking the time to listen. All right, good luck. Hey, blending persona with spice. 40. I have different taglines. 40 stories tagline is time to perform. Marble Media's is this time it's for all the marbles. And Chef Art is blending persona with spice. And so you can see wrapped up in those is a big agenda that I hope we all are able to take care of together. Look, I got a phone call. That'll shut me up.